Thank you so much for Pronabec for having me talk to you all today, and a big welcome to everybody. I'm Alex Thompson, Recruitment Manager of RMIT University, a global university of technology, design and enterprise located right in the city centre of Melbourne, Melbourne, Australia. So today I'm going to talk a bit about why you should study in Melbourne as a city, the cost of living there. And then I'm going to provide a bit of a general overview of RMIT University, some of our rankings, our disciplines of strength, our campuses located in Melbourne. I'm going to talk a little bit about also why we're known as the #1 university currently for graduate employment. I'm also going to talk a little bit about intake dates as well as some academic entry requirements, and then finally scholarships as well. So why should an international student study in Melbourne? So Melbourne is the second largest city in Australia. We have 5 million people here living in the metropolitan region, and it's a very welcoming, multicultural and vibrant city. We have people from all over the world living here. It is currently ranked the 10th most livable city in the world. Previously, it was #1 for about 7 years running. We're also known as the 5th best student city in the world. If you love your food, your coffee, you're going to feel very at home in Melbourne. We're ranked #6 best city in the world for food and dining. We're also known as the sporting capital of Australia. So we have lots of high-profile international sporting events come here across the calendar year, such as the Australian Open Tennis, the Formula One Grand Prix, and the Rip Curl Pro World Tour surfing event, which is held at Bells Beach outside of Melbourne on the iconic Great Ocean Road. If you love your live music, we have more live music venues per capita than other city in the world. So it's it's a city that thrives on arts and culture, and contrasting to Sydney, where they have beautiful beaches and nature. We're more about our arts and culture here, but we still have all that stuff as well in the city. Just a little bit about cost of living. Generally, in terms of depending where you're living in the city, in terms of rent, and how I've broken it down here between our 3 campuses located in the metropolitan region of Melbourne. Depending on where you're living, you can pay between 120 to 300 Australian dollars, depending how close you are to the city centre. In terms of electricity, gas and water, and this figures in regard to shared bills, you can pay roughly between $10 to $25. With your food, so such as shopping and eating out, you can pay between $80 to $150 a week. Phone and internet, Australia has some of the cheapest prepaid and phone and internet plans in the world, and during the week you can pay between $15 to $30 a week. Public transport, you can pay up to $50 a week, but if you just choose to live in the city centre, you can offset some of those costs, as some of our public transport in the city centre is free. And also, depending on how much you like to go out during a week, you can pay between $30 to $100 per week. So RMIT is a relatively young university. So it was founded in 1992, but it has a long history dating back to 1887. So it was originally a working man's college where we taught trades such as electricity and plumbing to men back in those days. And then across a number of decades, it amalgamated with a number of different technical institutions to become a fully fledged university that it is today. We have 5 campuses across the world. So we have 3 in Australia and 2 in Vietnam. And we also teach offshore programs across 12 different countries, mainly in Southeast Asia. We're strongly connected worldwide. We have over 450,000 alumni across the world, and we work with over 200 universities partners around the world, whether that's in student exchange, whether that's in research and other different areas. So we're ranked in the top 1% universities globally. And as I mentioned before, we're a young university. And because of that, we're ranked #18 in the world out of all universities under 15 years old. We have a strong track record with getting our graduates into employment after they graduate. And because of this, we're currently ranked #1 for graduate employment in Australia. We're strongly connected with industry as well. And we're ranked #4 in Australia with our partnerships with employers. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the industry connections that we have a little bit later on. We have a strong focus on practical learning. So a lot of our programs have what we call work integrated learning in with them. And across 2021, 15,829 students undertook work integrated learning placements with our global industry partners. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well. We're also ranked QS 5-star in all categories. So teaching, innovation, employability, facilities, inclusiveness, research, internationalization, and specialist criteria as well. So as I mentioned before, we've got 3 campuses in Melbourne. Our main campus is located right in the heart of the city centre in Melbourne, and it has the majority of our disciplines as well. It's not your traditional campus, which is normally located outside of the city centre and is surrounded by walls. Our campus is very much part of the city and integrated with the city as well. So we have about 45,000 students studying on the campus, and we teach our majority disciplines, and it has state-of-the-art facilities there in many different disciplines as well. Our Banduri Campus is located, going back to the Melbourne City Campus. Being in the city centre, it's also very easily accessible by public transport, whether that's train, tram, or bus as well. So very easily accessible. Our Banduri Campus is located in the neighbourhood of Bandura, which is located 18 kilometres from the city centre, but still very accessible by public transport. It's more of your traditional campus, being out in the metropolitan fringe of the city, and it's home to our health, education, and biomedical sciences. We also teach some 3rd and 4th year and postgraduate engineering courses out there. So has state-of-the-art facilities for those disciplines, and being an open green campus that's surrounded by parklands and wildlife, we also have many different sporting facilities there for students as well. Our Brunswick Campus is our smallest campus, and it's located in the multicultural and vibrant neighbourhood of Brunswick, which is situated 5 kilometres from the city centre, very easily accessible by train and tram. And it houses our fashion, textiles, and graphic design and industrial design programs. And it has state-of-the-art facilities for those disciplines, such as our $6 million fashion hub, which has state-of-the-art facilities for all our fashion design students out there. We also have regional sites in Melbourne that are flight training facilities. So for students who want to become a professional pilot, whether that's a private or commercial piloting license, we teach that as well. Just this slide here's just to call out that we do have virtual campus tours on our YouTube page, on our RMIT University YouTube page. So these videos have current students leading you around the campus and showing all our iconic facilities there as well. So I strongly encourage you to check that out and have a look at the different campuses that we have. So RMIT is a comprehensive university. We teach over 450 internationally recognised programs. We're also known as a dual sector university. So we teach English for academic purposes, foundation studies, and then vocational programs such as diploma, advanced diploma, and associate degrees. And then we teach from undergraduate all the way up to research. So from bachelor degree all the way up to PhD level. So we teach everything from architecture, art, biomedical sciences, business communication, community services. So what sits under that are things such as social work, international relations, global studies, translation, interpreting, design, information technology, education, engineering. We teach a large range of engineering disciplines, fashion, game design, health sciences, and justice, crime and legal, and science. Just some rankings that I want to call out for specific disciplines. We're ranked number one, we're the number one university and number 15th in the world for art and design. We're top 11 fashion schools in the world. We're top 50 in the world for architecture as well. And we're ranked in top 100, top 150 for certain engineering disciplines as well. So as I mentioned before, RMIT's got a really strong focus on practical learning. Through the majority of our programs, students have the opportunity to take practical placements, clinical practices, industry projects, internships, depending on what they're studying as well. Through with those through those work integrated learning opportunities, you can do that with our industry partners, and we have industry links with some of the world's biggest multinational corporations, ranging through a number of different sectors such as automotive, aerospace, information technology, fast-moving consumable goods, supply chain, information technology, and other different sectors as well. So a little bit more about life at RMIT University. So just to cover some important dates for the 2023 intake. So postgraduate by coursework, so Masters by coursework programs. In semester 1, students will begin at late February and then finish in late June. And then the second semester will begin in mid-July and then sort of around mid-November. For research programs, we go by quarters, but we do have monthly intake for our research programs, whether that's Masters by Research or PhD. So generally the first quarter will start 1st of February, finish late April, second quarter, start of May, end of July, third quarter, 1st of August to end of October, and then the fourth quarter from the start of November to the end of January the following year. We do have a lot of different support services for our international students. We want to make sure that they're happy living in Melbourne and that they succeed during their studies at RMIT University, because a happy student is a successful one. So we do have lots of different support services available. We do have staff which can give you advice on how to go about finding accommodation here in Melbourne. Generally, we don't have, apart from our Banduri Campus, we don't have on-campus accommodation, but we do work with private accommodation providers that have properties very close by campus. We got staff who can talk about career-related advice as well. And we have a specific centre called the Job Shop in which you can speak with that staff about. We have an on-campus chaplaincy, so you can access that when you're on campus. We also have on-site student counsellors, so you're able to book a student counsellor free of charge if you're facing any difficulties during your studies. We also have support services for students with disabilities. We have support services around talking you around about financials and legal advice as well. And we also have a safer community service and 24-hour security on campus too. So just a little bit about admissions, just some general academic entry requirements for students doing Masters by coursework and research programs. So Masters by coursework. So generally what you would need is successful completion of the equivalent of an Australian bachelor degree. Some Masters programs may have a GPA requirement. For example, pretty much all our engineering Masters by coursework programs have a GPA of 2.0 out of 4. And if you're interested in studying, say, an art, design, architecture, communication or fashion program, you will be required with your application to submit either a portfolio or a pre-selection kit, which you may have to address a number of different tasks as part of that pre-selection kit. And you, depending on the program and how far you get in the application progress, you may also be required to do an interview as well. For students that want to do either by a Masters by Research or a PhD, generally you would need to have completed a master's degree. That includes a research component comprised of at least 25% of a full-time academic year, with an overall distinction average, or if you haven't done a degree with a research component in it, you would need a high distinction average. Students that have done bachelor's degree with, say, an honours year, which is a minimum 4 years of full-time study, that degree should have included a research component as well, where that may be a thesis, a research project, something like that, at least 25% of a full-time academic year, and you would need at least a distinction average in your final year as well. So for the English requirements as well, so generally we accept a number of different English proficiency tests. So the most common one that students do is the IELTS, and generally you would need an overall score of 65 an overall score of 6.5 and no individual band below 6.0. We also accept the PTE academic as well, which you would need a minimum overall score of 58 with no, and we also accept the TOEFL IBT, which you would need at least a 79 in total, minimum of 13 in reading, 12 listening, 18 in speaking, and 21 in writing. Just to call out some of our programs, for example, say nursing, education programs, psychology, they all have higher English language requirements than this. So you would need to meet them. They're generally around about 7 point, for example, for an IELTS, you would need approximately a minimum of 7.0 or 7.5, depending on what that program is as well. So higher requirements than normal. Just also some application tips on how to submit completed applications. So just through our online admission system, you would need to ensure that you have correct personal information, including your email address, copies of your passport, and then also certified copies of your academic documents, both in English and Spanish. So that's your academic transcripts and your completion certificates, your English proficiency test, if available, and selection task if you're applying for, say, an art design, communication or fashion program. And if you haven't studied for, say, more than 12 months, just also like a CV, statement of activities addressing just what you've been doing in between that study gap as well. So just a little bit about scholarships as well. So we do have a number of different scholarships that are available for Peruvian students. So we do have an RMIT English language bursary for students that may need to do some English prior to their program. And in 2023, we're offering a 35% discount for students. So with that discount, students will pay $318.50 per week rather than $490 per week. Also, different study levels. We have the Academic Excellence Scholarship for Latin American students. So that's a $10,000 one-off payment for students who are looking to study either one of our business programs or, say, art design, architecture, education programs, those type of disciplines. We also have a STEM scholarship for Latin American students, which is also a $10,000 one-off payment. And that's for students who are looking to study either science, technology, engineering, or health programs as well. For students who are either doing Masters by Research and PhD, we do have significant scholarships available, which are the International Tuition Fee Scholarship, which will cover your tuition fees up to up to 2 years of a Masters by Research and up to 3.5 years of a PhD. And then also the RMIT International Stipend Scholarship, which which provides you a stipend of approximately 32,000 Australian dollars for 2 years of a Masters by Research and up to 3.5 years of a PhD as well. We do have a scholarships webpage in which you can check out all the eligibility requirements and terms and conditions for them as well. So thanks for taking the time to learn more about RMIT University and how we can help you advance your career through our strong focus in practical learning. You're able to speak with me either by email, by WhatsApp as well. And also I do have a link here in the slide, which Pronabec can share with you after the session here, in which you can book a session with me either through Microsoft Teams as well. And you're able to book that through an online calendar with me. So big thanks once again for taking the time to learn more about RMIT University. And a big thanks to Pronabec for having me as well. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have now.